Hey guys, Al2 here, 316 RC. Finally getting started on this Baja build. As you saw in my previous videos, the engine is done and ready to go, so it's time to start working on the chassis and the components in the drivetrain. So I didn't show you guys this before, but I picked up this beautiful billet transmission and diff assembly right here. So first thing I'm going to do with this thing, this is really really nice piece of billet, and I will be shining it up with mother's billet when it's all done. So first thing I want to do is tear these screws out, because I want to go over the grease and I want to go over the change the diff fluid out. It's just a little too it's a little too thin for me, so let's get started. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3mm screws. I'm gonna go ahead and get the Milwaukee out. Must have, guys. Get yourself a screw gun. I don't care if it's this type or the gun itself, but these are nice to have. These screws weren't even tight. These got to be Loctited down. That's for sure. Not tight at all. Super loose. That's why you always got to go over your stuff, guys. I know it's a lot of extra work, but you save yourself a lot of headaches. Go over all your screws, especially these screws that go into metal. 9 times out of 10, there's no Loctite on it. Just keep working this thing and finally you'll get it all apart. Yeah, there's a little bit of grease in there, but boy, I mean nothing. Ain't nothing in there. Look at that, guys. There's hardly anything on those gears. Look at that. Nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I don't even know what this stuff is. Look at this. Look at that. Brown, yucky. It's a little tacky, but there ain't much of it in here. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this up, and then we're going to pull this differential housing out of here and open it up and see what it looks like. To clean this up, get yourself a good electronic degreaser like this Moo Clean from Cow RC. There's other ones that are just as good, but these work really well about breaking up grease and oil. Alright, I'm going to finish getting this all cleaned up, and then we'll get that differential apart and see what it looks like inside. Alright guys, got my diff apart. You can see, here's the other part of the diff. I'm going to get this all cleaned out, and then I'm going to get some thicker fluid in there. So let's get that done and I'll be right back. Alright guys, take a look at this. I want to show you. You guys might run into this problem as well. These bearings, first of all, they didn't feel very good, so I wanted to replace them. So this big outer bearing is on here, like so. I had a heck of a time getting these off. And mainly, what they did was, and I've heard of this before, you get worried about this bearing spinning around here. So you'll put blue Loctite around here to hold the bearing on. I had a heck of a time getting them off. I had to heat these up. And then what I did was, just to show you your bearings on like so, I put it in a vise with two things holding it on either side, almost like you know, like a thin piece of, I didn't use these, but just as an example, like I had a piece on this side, a piece on this side, and I pounded with a socket on the housing here and pounded it out away from the bearing. So you guys might run into that as well. Secondly, this inside bearing that goes in here, which would be this one, this popped right out. Now the outer one that goes in the inside of here, I had a heck of a time. I had to take a screwdriver, I had to heat this up too, take a screwdriver and just catch the bearing. You know, I give it a pound here, pound on this side and this side, and finally popped out. And these bearings weren't very good either. Anyway, things you might run into, but I wanted to tear this diff all apart, and I wanted to upgrade the bearings anyway, and I had gotten this Fast Eddy Pro Series bearing kit. So I'm going to be replacing those bearings with the Fast Eddy. Just wanted to show you guys that about your diff housings. If you're like, gee whiz, I can't get these things off. So be very careful when you heat these up, and just tap, and, you know, take your time. Don't try to just, or you're going to screw up your diff case. So just wanted to let you guys in on that right there, what I found out. So I'm going to go ahead and get this case all cleaned up. There's a gasket that goes in here. It's this. I don't know why they had a bunch of silicone, some kind of gasket sealing material in here as well, but I need to clean all that out, get this diff case cleaned up. I'll show you how to put all this back together, and we'll get some fluid in here and some new bearings, and we'll be good to go. I'm going to show you guys the inside of this transmission case, this grease. Look at this grease. Look at that. Look at that stuff. It's like, it's funky, man. It is not very good. So I'm going to be cleaning all that out, and we got Team Fast Eddy dog bone and transmission grease for RC cars. That'll be going in my transmission. Alright guys, got all my parts cleaned up, ready to go, ready to put back together. I don't know if you, there's two seals right here that go between the two small bearings, this size bearing, which goes in the outside of your diff housing, and there's one that goes in the inside. So in between those two bearings, this pretty thick rubber O-ring goes in there. I will be replacing these. These are the original ones. I will not be using them over again. Also, this squarish gasket, which goes in between. You can see where it goes in between your housings. I will be replacing that as well. All right, let's get